This year, Congress is going to spend more than $4 billion of your dollars on projects considered pork. Those are individual spending items tucked into various bills to satisfy specific congresspeople. For example, the U.S. will spend $15 million protecting salmon. I mean, I like bagels and lox. And $120 million on a tank the Defense Department doesn't even want. The nonpartisan group Citizens Against Government Waste doesn't mince words in its annual guide, titling it Congressional Pig Book. Sean Kennedy, the group's director of research, joins us now from Washington, D.C. Sean, good afternoon to you.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
All right, so I understand from this report that Congress is spending more money on fewer projects, fewer pork projects. That doesn't sound like it's going the right direction. It sounds like more quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's true. You know, it's kind of a case of good news and bad news. There's $4.2 billion in earmarks this year, and while that's up from last year, $2.7 billion last year, it is down from $29 billion, which is the record high in 2006. But that said, there's really a lack of transparency in the process nowadays, and the idea of transparency and figuring out who has requested these projects, it has been reduced immeasurably.
Yeah, I don't understand. In 2011, Congress passed an earmark moratorium. Of course, Congress can't pass a bill that it could not figure a way around. It's always able to do that. So why are these earmarks still occurring?
Yeah, so it comes down to a difference in the definition. Mm-hmm. There's always a loophole, right? So my organization has been using the same definition of an earmark since 1991. And that year that you mentioned right there, 2011, the House and Senate adopted different definitions of earmarks. So it comes down to just how you define the program.
And part of the transparency here is, if I understand, walk me through this. You could have a huge bill on a variety of issues, and somewhere in there, there's a line item, an earmark, in essence, for a pork project.
Yeah, that's correct. So, one of the things that we're trying to counteract is really it's just not enough time to dig through these bills. A couple of years back, Congress adopted what they labeled a 3-day rule. So they were going to post a bill online and then vote on it 3 days later. And what this became in practice was maybe they would post the bill online on Tuesday evening at 11:55 and then vote on it Thursday morning. And that may be 3 days, but it's not 72 hours. And some of these bills are very, very long. The appropriations bills this year were a couple thousand pages. And an organization like mine had to dig through it, and it just doesn't allow enough time.
Does Congress have any appetite for changing the law and saying if you want earmarks passed, pass them as separate bills?
There is a movement to restore earmarks, and that's something that we are opposed to just because, you don't want these wasteful projects to come back. That said, we would be in favor of increased transparency. What's important to sort of remember here is earmarks really have been a currency of corruption over the years. There's a member of Congress that has served time in jail because of this practice. Mm-hmm. And when we don't know who's requesting
and Sean, we've heard all the stories.
Sean,
we've heard the stories like the bridge to nowhere, for example. We've heard of some of the more outrageous stories. But the Defense Department is, in many ways, one of the biggest offenders, or at least Congress makes the Defense Department buy things it doesn't want.
That's correct. So one earmark this year is $120 million for the M1 Abrams tank upgrade program. This is a project that the DoD is opposed to. In fact, the Army Chief of Staff, General Odierno, said, this is not a program we need to spend money on. And there's a bit of a hint in the line item of the appropriations bill to indicate why Congress added money. They said it was to maintain the critical industrial base. So there's nothing like a good old-fashioned jobs program.
A jobs program.
National security spending.
Do senators and representatives get shamed for being featured in your booklet? Some of them are proud of it. They say their job is to bring the pork home, the bacon home for their constituents.
That is true. There are some sort of unabashed believers in this process. By and large, I think it's kind of telling that between 2008 and 2010, members were required to add their name to earmarks. That is not the case anymore. I think most members of Congress prefer the system in its present way in which it works because they don't have to be their name is not found in a press release somewhere.
Okay, Sean Kennedy, the group's director of research at Citizens Against Government Waste. Thank you.
Thank you.